Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, November 14th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and it's a Robinson Day on the show Tuesdays and Thursdays, but lately we don't know which one we're going to get. Today it's Ryan Robinson with Matt traveling with the Reno Ice Raiders to their next game, so he's unavailable, but Ryan is stepping up to the plate once again. Good to have him with us. Let's look back on last night very quickly because it's a huge card. I want to get right to it. But just quickly on last night, we saw the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins go to overtime. Shout out to Alex with the draw in that Red Wings-Penguins game last night. Detroit gets the job done, though, 3-2 in overtime. Did take a piece of Detroit. Unfortunately, one of two games last night where the system play fell short in both legs, the first period and the full game. Over last night. That happened in this one. 3-2 for the Detroit Red Wings, though. Nice overtime win for them there. Great win for the Leafs. 4-3 last night against the Capitals, coming back. By the way, if you thought you were upset and frustrated as a fan of the NHL with the gray area of replay and video review going into that Leafs-Capitals game, well, you've not seen anything since that. You haven't seen nothing yet before that game took place. My goodness, we don't know what a goal is anymore. We don't know what goalie interference. What is goalie interference and what is not goalie interference? What is a high stick and what is not a high stick? I mean, we saw the gamut of why there is so much uncertainty and gray area one game to the next in video review on these goal calls in that Leafs-Capitals game last night. The bottom line is the Leafs played through it. You know, they had one or two of those go against them. They found a way to tie the game late with the Mitch Marner goal, and then a huge save on Ovi, looking to get closer to the Gretzky record. Huge stop Woll makes on him in overtime, and then Tavares goes the other way on a breakaway and beats Logan Thompson, who really played great. Main reason why Washington got a point, because Toronto really took over the game second half of the game after a slow start, and the Leafs get a nice 4-3 win there. Another game that would have cashed the draw if you bet it. How about the Utah Hockey Club? The changes on offense worked, especially in the third period when they erupted for 3 goals and they get a nice 4-1 win against Carolina. I used Eric Robinson for a bargain bin in this game, but a guy I almost made, I probably should have made it him instead, was Nick Bjugstad, centering the top line, moving up there, and what a game for him. He gets 2 goals up on that top line for the Utah Hockey Club last night. So I did have a piece of the Bjugstad goal prop. Just wish I had used it as bargain bin. But great win for Utah. Unreal performance by Karel Vejmelka in net. 49 saves in the victory last night. That's as good as I've ever seen him play. And he has had a couple of these type of games. Not often, but my gosh, he was the main reason Utah got 2 points. Just a brick wall in between the pipes for the Utah Hockey Club. 49 saves on 50 Carolina shots last night, and Utah pulls one out 4-1 last night. They were opportunistic on offense, and obviously their goalie had a dazzling night. Vegas gets only their second road win of the year, 3-2 against Anaheim. Slow start. They gave up the first goal, but they get 3 goals after that. Anaheim gets a late one, but too little too late, 3-2 Vegas. Nick Waugh, I mentioned him playing on the top line. Another guy moving up to the top line that scored a goal last night. He gets the first goal of the game for Vegas as they get a solid win, and the struggles continue for the Anaheim Ducks. Alex, your thoughts on a Wednesday slate?
Well, yeah, the big takeaway with that Utah game, they said it was a nice win to grab with the underdog, and that was just a good spot for Utah at home against a quality team in Carolina. And one thing I thought was really interesting, too, I watched the most of this game, and I watched on Utah's network feed. And they were, making a note that the crowd, you didn't have to really badger the crowd to get into the game at any point in time. When the crowd needed to make noise, they did. And that's huge. And especially if you watch the end of that game, Karel Vejmelka gets the #1 star, and he's, skating out there. You see the energy. He's pumping his fists and getting the crowd riled up. That's got to be huge for this group. Think of where they were a year ago, 2 years ago, playing in front of, a half-empty 5,000-seat arena. And losing game after game. And now to have wins like that against quality teams and to have a home fan base that's visibly and actively giving a shit and celebrating them at the end of the game. And that's got to be really good for those guys in that locker room when they get those wins in their new home now. That's got to just boost them a little bit more. So I thought that was a huge game. That's a huge confidence booster for Vejmelka too. The fact that he's not getting the regular 1A, 1B rotation starts like before. Maybe he will now after having that kind of a game with 49 saves. So that was the biggest takeaway. I watched that game from start to finish, but also Detroit and Pittsburgh, a real tight one as I expected. Thought there'd be more goals than what we saw, but definitely was nice to get the overtime in and cash another draw winner. So those are the two games that I watched closely last night.
Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, look, we've seen some regression in the system play. There's no question. We had a 2-0 sweep with the Leafs Capitals game last night as far as the system play, but 0-4 combined in the other two games that fit the system, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Carolina, Utah. Look, it's going to happen. It wasn't going to cash at a 90% clip, 80% clip. I'm still riding it. I'm not panicking or worried. It's still pretty strong. The reasoning and the logic behind it is strong. That's the point. But it still doesn't mean you're going to win it all the time. So we just stay the course. It's still, overall, I think 21-10 or something like that. First period over, and the full game over is 18-10-3 still. I mean, it's still a terrific mark. And like I said, the second period overs are what we should start looking at too. When the first period stays under in these system plays. Now, should have hit with Carolina, Utah too, to be quite honest. A million chances to get 2 goals in that second period, but it did hit in the Pittsburgh Detroit game, where it was a scoreless first period. First period stayed under in the system play, and the second period flew over the total. There were 4 goals, 2 by each team in the second period. So keep an eye on that. When the first period stays under with the system play, second period over, I believe now is 6-2 in those situations.
It's important to still keep track of the system play, even if you aren't betting it. But it's important to keep track of what games fall under the system play so that you can branch out and look at other things like this second period over trend, or you can build something off of that, or you can find something. It's something to keep as a handicapping angle, even if you aren't going to blindly just follow it through. With any of these systems that we mentioned and talk about, that's something I just really want to emphasize.
I agree. Brian, anything you wanted to add for last night?
Yeah, I was on the first period over with you guys, or I guess, Ian, you had both teams to score, but I took first period over in that game as well as Alex's game. It's a little bit frustrating. Detroit, Pittsburgh finishes the first 0-0, but I did hop on a little bit of the second period over just because I feel like when a game starts 0-0, it usually opens up a little bit in the second period, so that was nice to cash. And then, Carolina, it's not often you're going to get 50 shots on goal and lose a game, so Vejmelka had an unreal performance. That was good to see for Utah fans, I'm sure. And then I watched a little bit of the TNT game with Colorado and LA. I guess good to see Colorado pull that one out if you're an Avs fan. But other than that, there wasn't much for me last night. But yeah, it was crazy to see that 49 save performance.
Yeah, it was. Unbelievable job by Vejmelka. He's probably the star of the night in the entire league last night with the way he played in net for the Utah Hockey Club. Yeah, I'm looking at over-under for the season. Full season numbers, overs-unders. 120 unders, 117 overs. So almost like 50% we are right now in the NHL. Literally 50-50 or close to it with overs-unders. A full game, that is, so far this season. So, like I said, you're going to have periods of the season where it's trending one way or the other. Remember, we're going to have the 4 nations face-off later in the new year, and it'll be interesting to see going in and coming out of that how it impacts the totals.
Never mind that. Coming up in 2 weeks from today, we'll be looking, or 2 weeks from yesterday, we'll be looking at the day before Thanksgiving, which that's always a night where we usually see some insane total jumps because everybody has that next day off. So you've got people traveling, you've got different things going on. So that's one of those days where we usually end up playing a lot of overs, and a lot of overs come through historically.
Yeah, definitely that's marked on the calendar right around the holiday seasons, no doubt. The Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season is going to be interesting to see what kind of goal production and how totals perform in and around those periods for sure. All right, Thursday night, it's a big card as usual. We begin with a rematch in the same building, believe it or not. These two teams played Tuesday night in Florida against one another, and they're back at it tonight, also in Florida. The Devils and the Panthers for the second straight time. Florida minus 150 home favorites. The total right here, 6, pretty much across the board in this one. The numbers climbed, I think, because Jake Allen is confirmed in net for the New Jersey Devils and Bobrovsky for Florida. It was, of course, Markstrom and Knight, the goaltending matchup in the first meeting. I'm on Florida, but I'm on them at a better price. I mean, it's climbed up to minus 150, but it was pretty straightforward. Didn't really have to think twice about it. Got a Florida team that's off losing to New Jersey the other night to the Devils, and a game where Florida didn't play that bad. They outshot New Jersey 35-23. We know there's a team of character. We know off a loss they've been very good this year. I expect more of the same here tonight against this New Jersey team. Like I said, they outshot the Devils 35-23. Markstrom was very good in that night for the Devils on Tuesday in that victory. I expect a Florida response here. I remember the last time they lost a game home against Minnesota. You know what they responded by doing? Going to Madison Square Garden against a Rangers team that had that spot circled, to losing to the Eastern Conference final to them last year. Florida still went in there after a bad game against Minnesota, and they beat the Rangers 3-1. It's a team we trust to bounce back off a bad game, but Florida for me. Minus 150 now. I would say maybe take it in regulation or -1, but I took it at minus 134 is the price I got early in the morning. So it's climbed a bit, but I am on the Panthers just at a better price than what's out there in the market right now. Alex, what do you think here? Devils, Panthers.
Be careful with that regulation. I like the draw here. I grabbed plus 380 at FanDuel. I think this is going to be a closer battle. We see this often when you have rapid turnaround within the same week or so. You'll see a closer matchup and a closer score in that second game sometimes. So I think this one goes past 60 minutes, and I think plus 380 is a good enough price to grab. So I'm on the draw here.
All right, draw for Alex here. Ryan, anything you like, Devils, Panthers?
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit, Ian. I took the Florida Panthers regulation line, 60 minutes at plus 110. I got in on it last night. I think it's a good bounce back spot for them. Anytime you have a veteran group like that loses at home and gets a chance to play the same team, 2 nights later, they're going to be hungry. They're on home ice. They have last change, all the stuff that, says it should lean Florida. Bobrovsky's in net, so I like the goalie matchup. I think Florida's going to bounce back, and I like them. I like the value of them in regulation at plus 110.
Yeah, no doubt. I lean over a little bit now with Allen in net, and I like that it was low scoring the last game. Sometimes when it's the same two teams battling, the very next game you get a little higher score. To be honest with you, 35 shots for Florida. They did hit a couple of posts in that game as well against the Devils. So, like I said. I watched that game because New Jersey was my best bet the other night, and I'm telling you what, I was happy to win it, but boy, got a little fortuitous because Florida had their chances and Bucks didn't go in for them in that game. So that's that. We move on now. Next up, we've got Philadelphia and Ottawa. Ottawa minus 180 home favorites, minus 190 actually in some spots now. Total 5.5, 6. Shop around. If you like the under, get a 6. If you like 5.5, get the over at that price. I don't love the spot for Ottawa. You just beat down your provincial rival, Toronto, 3-0, shut them out, played one of your best games of the year. Now you're laying minus 190 after a win like that. I worry about it. You're a little flat, little off your game, little lethargic, but they are playing well, and they've played very well at home. I think they're still the better team. It's enough to keep me off Philly, but at this price, I can't endorse Ottawa, minus 190 coming off the big win against Toronto. But I like the way they're playing. And I saw a stat that with Stützle, Josh Norris, and Brady Tkachuk, the top 3 centers on this team, all in the lineup for the Ottawa Senators, at home, their record is like 30-15 with those 3 guys playing. So I didn't think it was that good, but it is. So they are fully healthy finally, like the way they're playing. Philly's inconsistent enough where I don't trust them. So this is actually a game I don't have much on pregame. A couple props I'm interested in. That's about it. What do you think here, Alex? Flyers, Sens.
Yeah, it's one of my other games I like to draw. I got plus 360 this morning. Like I said, this is a game where Ottawa at this price is just a bit crazy, but I don't really like backing Philly. But these are 2 teams that have played close games, gone to OT often. So at 360 is a decent enough price here. Might grab a little bit of the first period and full game overs in game. Just looking for some better prices, but I could see this one being 3-3 after 60 minutes. So.
All right, there we go. It is draw season, most indeed,
Yeah.
here for Alex tonight. First 2 games, and he likes the draw on both of them. It is Ivan Fedotov in Philly. That's another reason I've now backed off Philly. Can't back them with him in net. Now, he was a little bit better last start, but I need to see more. There's a clear edge in between the pipes to Linus Ullmark here for Ottawa. He's been very good in his last 2 games. The shutout against Toronto and the win against Boston, he played very well for the Ottawa Senators in both of those games. Ryan, how about you here? Flyers, Sens.
Yeah, I think I might just pass on the sides and totals. Definitely not back in Ottawa minus 190, and then kind of agree with you that goalie in Philly. I'm not sure I want to take a chance with them. I did think about, I see someone mentioned Flyers team total. I think over 2.5 for them is like minus 120 or 115, something in that range. Thought about that a little bit, but the only thing that scares me with that is Ullmark has been, pretty solid. So, and Ottawa is at home. I might take a small shot on the draw with Alex. I could see that coming into play depending on how, the first half of the game goes. I might take a shot live. But other than that, I might just stay off the sides and totals. There's a couple props I like. I like Stützle. I like Kachuk. But other than that, this game is mostly a pass for me.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, next up, as we continue along, we've got the San Jose Sharks taking on the New York Rangers. The Rangers just keep taking I thought that, wow, they opened pretty high, minus 390. Not high enough, says the betting markets, because they're up to minus 430 in a lot of spots right now. The Rangers here in this game, total sitting at 6, and it's starting to move to 6.5. It looks like this total, so keep an eye on that. But obviously a big move with that. It is pretty much now 6.5 across the board. Now the total, so it has moved. We're pretty much widely at 6.5 at this point in time. Look, the Rangers off the 6-3 win against the best team in the NHL right now, the Winnipeg Jets, 6-3 the other night. Not a great night again from Shesterkin. Although, again, there was a lot of breakdowns in front of them, too. And the Jets are just playing at such a high level, both ends of the ice, including offensively. I've been impressed with what I've seen. Back to Shesterkin tonight for the Rangers. Mackenzie Blackwood will get the start here for the San Jose Sharks in this game. You look at last year, believe it or not, Sharks and Rangers. In San Jose, the Sharks won in overtime. And in New York, it was a high-scoring affair, and the Rangers just barely escaped. 6-5 over the San Jose Sharks in that game. So believe it or not, San Jose pushed this Rangers team not once but twice last year. That being said, I do expect a strong start. Peter Laviolette's been preaching that. Got to have a little bit better starts to games. I like Rangers first period. The only value with the Rangers is what I bet, in my opinion, and that's Rangers first period puck line at around plus 100. You can get even money with that. I do like that a little bit to get the lead. And it is worth noting, the Rangers in the 2 games against San Jose last year, including the game they lost in San Jose, they did lead after the first period in both games. So I like that Rangers first period puck line. But because of the price we're getting and the propensity of these teams to play 1-goal games last year, and San Jose's been feisty on this road trip. The 1-0 win against New Jersey, Blackwood was sensational. They come back and they tie Philly and take that game to overtime. I'm going to dabble at plus 500 on the draw. Just a dabble at plus 500. I think at that, come on, plus 500?
Yep.
With San Jose feisty right now. 1-goal games between the Sharks and Rangers in both meetings last year. It's worth a bet at that price, in my opinion. Yeah, plus 500. Rangers get the lead in the first, but San Jose's shown some feistiness, some spunk to battle back in games. We'll sprinkle on the draw, too. Plus 500. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Rangers.
All right, so I'm doing this again. I'm tailing you on that Rangers first period puck line, but I'm stacking it with the correct scores. So Rangers 1-0 plus 390, Rangers 2-0 at 7-1, and Rangers 2-1 at plus 1,000. Going with those 4. Also a sprinkle on the draw at plus 390. I'm sorry, plus 500 rather.
500.
Plus 500 rather.
Get a new book if you're getting 390 on this. Yeah.
No, that is. But no, I was just saying. I'm saying 390 because that's the cheapest price that I've seen on that. Where you'll have books that will vary in 40 or 50 cent increments. So the fact that you're getting that's the cheapest price you're saying, that it's an automatic bet at plus 500 whenever you see that price. I do like the first period over, but I grabbed it yesterday. I got minus $1.30. I got this actually at the open. So now at minus 144 to minus 150, I would recommend grabbing that in game. And there's a player prop that I really, really like in this spot that's glaring. I think we're all on it. But this more than likely going to be my bargain bin play for the night.
Certain friend of the show mentioned this player prop
Yes.
as well, and I agree with it fully. Yeah, I was going to get to that in a moment, but yeah, you're thinking the same thing. I'll save it actually for that sake. Actually, it's Barclay Goodrow. Who's kidding who? That's who it is. That's who we're talking about. Yeah.
Right.
And it isn't my bargain bin anyway, so I'll mention it now. But it is. It's a great bet. He's close to home, back in New York. He's going to have all kinds of family there now, member of the Sharks, of course. And I think he has a great chance to step up and find the back of the net here for the San Jose Sharks. Going to have some family members in attendance. Makes all the sense in the world. No question that Barclay Goodrow. And you got the former team angle as well. It's the beauty of it as well. It's like multiple angles meshed into one and upwards of plus 750 for Barclay Goodrow to score a goal here tonight. Even 800 Rocco is seeing in some spots. So, like I said, great value there. What do you think here in this one, Ryan? Sharks, Rangers?
Yeah, not much for me. I really like that Rangers first period puck line. I've seen it at minus 105, so I think that's pretty much all I'll be, at least at the start of the game on. I think the Rangers come out hot off that win. You can definitely see, San Jose, as you mentioned, is pretty feisty, but at least the first period, I like New York, so I'm taking Rangers puck line first period.
I see Matt got that antenna working in his little van there for chiming in the chat during the show here, but good to see Matty in the house here as far as the chat with his brother here filling in for him. Yeah, as far as props for the Rangers, I like Kakko, I like Cooley, and Lafreniere. I mean, those are the three that are percolating right now. Cooley and Kakko, I mean, they have good chemistry going, and they both chipped in against the Winnipeg Jets the other night for the Rangers. So definitely liking props for those three in particular. They've been three of the better forwards lately for this New York Rangers team. Maybe a little Macklin Celebrini sprinkle. I mean, it's New York, it's Broadway, it's Madison Square Garden, big arena, big moment. We think he's going to be a big-time player. Why not this be a night for Macklin Celebrini to light the lamp here at Madison Square? So probably sprinkle in on that a little bit as well. All right, arguably game of the night, the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Look at the move in the price. This was around even money, but a big move to Tampa Bay, and there's reasons for that, which I'll get to. They are now minus 135 home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. And the reason for that is Connor Hellebuck getting a rest tonight for the Winnipeg Jets, and Eric Comrie being tabbed as the starting goaltender here for the Jets tonight in this game. Be careful, though, because guess what? The one loss for Winnipeg this year in this great 15-1 start to the year, it came with Connor Hellebuck in net against Toronto. Eric Comrie as a starter is 3-0, 2.67 goals against, 914 save percentage. He's actually played pretty solid in net. Obviously, look, it is a drop-off for a little bit from Hellebuck, but Comrie, man, he has played very well, no doubt, for this team. We'll see how this plays out. See, I'm in a tough spot here. I said I got to start backing the Jets until they prove otherwise, and I took them against Dallas on Saturday. I took them on Monday against the New York Rangers, and I bet them this morning before the news came out, and I have a bad price on them now because I have plus 100, something like that with the Jets, and now you can get plus 115, plus 120. I say if you haven't bet it yet, it's not the way. I'd still lean Jets. I mean, you look at Tampa, they're not playing well. There's no Braden Point. He's out again tonight. They've lost 4 in a row right now. They're not playing great hockey at the moment. Obviously, they've had a lot of time off to stew about this little skid they've been in. Maybe they come out firing, and they do get the benefit of Comrie, not Hellebuck in net. So maybe this is the night for Tampa to win and Winnipeg to finally lose their second game. But at this price, to me, there's great value still on the Jets. I'm stuck with a bad price. It is what it is. I like the over by Fecta, though, in this game. And there's some strong series history with first period overs in particular with the Jets versus the Lightning. Head-to-head, it's been an over first period palooza, bonanza, every time Winnipeg plays Tampa. So first period over is really strong. I actually took over 6 before. Now, I got a shit price with Winnipeg. I got a good number in price with the full game over because I got 6 at minus 115. And then Comrie got announced as the goalie, and it blew right up to 6.5. So I did at least get a good number in price with the full game over. I've got that, got the first period over. Bad number on Winnipeg, but I'm not running a lane minus 135 with Tampa. I'll say that. What do you think here, Alex? Winnipeg, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I grabbed that first period over. It's still available minus 130 at FanDuel, so that's definitely the play that I like the most, especially with Comrie. Eric Comrie with this Jets team right now reminds me of with Tyrese Halliburton with the Olympic team in the summer. He was part of the winning team, but didn't really do a heck of a whole lot. It's like, he's not going to be the X factor here as this team continues to win, if they continue to win the way that they do. So, yes, 3-0 record, he has that, but is he really standing on his head the way that Hellebuck has in his starts? Not really so much. So Tampa Bay, if they could find a way to get some goals, it would be against Comrie, but definitely don't like them on the side. Like you said, their form not worth backing even here at home. So first period over already on. We'll be looking to grab a better number and price in games. I'm going to take a little bit of a shot and a little bit of a risk with a better number and price for that full game over live.
The funny thing is usually when a team goes undefeated, as long as Winnipeg did, and they had that loss to Toronto, you then think that, okay, just playing every game like it mattered to the nth degree to keep your undefeated start alive. Now you could start to go in the other direction, but they won immediately after beating Toronto. And the Jets have kind of taken that mindset all over again that, hey, we want this new win streak since losing that first game against Toronto. We want this new win streak to keep going as long as possible. And they're playing like it. I mean, they're treating every game like it's a playoff game right now. I'm impressed with how they've responded at both sides. When something bad happens, they respond right away. It's been impressive. And by the way, they have owned Tampa Bay 5 straight times. The Jets have beaten the Lightning. So this has actually been a very good matchup for them. We'll see if that continues tonight, even with the backup in net. What do you think here, Ryan? Winnipeg, Tampa Bay.
I grabbed some of that first period over like Alex did. I think even with Comrie, I think it's just, don't bet against a hot team until they give you a reason not to. Plus 115 is crazy value for a team who's 15-1. So I actually leaned Tampa this morning a little bit, just because I feel like Winnipeg is due for a loss soon. But as we touched on already, like don't go against it until they give you a reason to. So I think I'm going to be on Winnipeg Jets plus 115 here. It's just too good of an opportunity to pass up for a team who is operating as hot as they are right now.
Speaking of operating red hot right now, Gabe Vilardi, we were waiting on this. He's heating up now. You knew it was going to happen at some point for the Winnipeg Jets, and he is indeed starting to heat up for them right now, no question. I'm going to go Vladdy Namestnikov for Winnipeg as well. Former Tampa Bay Lightning, so against his old team, and he scored in back-to-back games for the Jets. So Vladdy Namestnikov, I think, might be worth a look here as far as their props are concerned. I'm going to stick to it with Nick Paul and Mitchell Chaffee on the Tampa side. They're both playing with Jake Gensel, who is a hell of a playmaker, as we know. And so he's got Mitchell Chaffee and Nick Paul on his line tonight. It looks like Kucherov, Cirelli, and Hagel is what John Cooper's going to go with on the top line. But Nick Paul and Mitchell Chaffee both have the potential to be the beneficiaries of the puck movement and playmaking wizardry, that Jake Gensel can often provide. So definitely I think Chaffee and Paul have good value for the Lightning up on that second line for this game tonight with Gensel. All right, we move along. We've got St. Louis and Buffalo. Sabres, minus 170, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Again, this is just the price range when it comes to Buffalo. Not interested when they're minus 170, like they are in this game. It's just I don't trust them enough. They're coming off that 7-5 pond hockey game on Monday afternoon against the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see if they can kind of turn things around here in this. One thing I know about St. Louis, look, we know how much they've struggled lately. We know, obviously, without Robert Thomas, they've had a particularly tough time. They're just 3-7 in their last 10. They'd lost the last 3 games of that homestand after beating 2 pretty solid teams, Toronto and Tampa Bay, start that homestand. 4-2 loss to Utah, 8-1 beatdown against Washington. Great effort and response against Boston to start, and they dominated the first 2 periods, but just a collapse in the third. Credit, though, to the Bruins. Their leadership group, their best players stepped up, and they helped erase that 2-0 deficit and come back to beat the Blues 3-2 the other night. Braden Shen, the captain, wasn't happy, kind of called out the team a little bit, saying we just have to generate more. We're not generating enough offensively. So, again, here's another situation where kind of like last night with the Utah team, the focus is offense, getting it going, because they know they're not scoring and generating enough shots or chances or zone time right now. The St. Louis Blues. Drew Bannister was talking about it as well. So we'll see if they can turn that around here. A couple injuries for Buffalo. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is out due to injury tonight, undisclosed. So he is not even dressed tonight. So Devin Levi is going to get the start for the Buffalo Sabres, who just claimed James Reimer off waivers as well. James Reimer already there now, and he'll back up Devin Levi here tonight in this game for the Sabres. I'm in on St. Louis for a small bet. I don't love it, but I know I'm getting a focused team, an angry team, after blowing the game against Boston the other night. I think at plus 150, and they've actually played well in Buffalo and played well overall in the series, 5-2 versus the Sabres in the last 7 meetings. So I am on the Blues a little bit, plus 150, maybe split with the team total for St. Louis as well, because, again, the focus is let's get the offense going. Over 2.5, minus 115 for the Blues. And now I see 5.5s at some books, minus 125 with 5.5 at the score bet. At that number, I'm on over here in this game. Buffalo at 5.5, I'm interested. And again, the Blues, all the talk after the Boston loss is we're not generating enough on the offensive end of the ice. So you got to think the focus is going to be there, and the emphasis is going to be let's try to get some goal scoring going. So I've got 3 fairly small-sized bets, but sprinkled across Blues money line, Blues team total over, and the full game over at a very rare 5.5 in a game involving Buffalo. What do you think here, Alex? Blues, Sabres.
Yeah, I like this over a buy factor for sure, especially like I said, we're getting $1.16 for that over 1.5 in the first period over at FanDuel. Like I said, some 5.5s are popping up with that full game over. Now, people in the chat saying, yeah, that Reimer pickup's kind of dumb. Well, keep in mind, James Reimer started out the training camp at the beginning of September with Buffalo, so it made sense. They needed a goalie right quick. Anaheim has Gibson back, so they just claimed him off waivers, and like I said, Levi either goes back to Rochester or they just put him back on waivers and he goes somewhere else. But it's probably a temporary fix. But obviously, they've navigated this 3 goalie situation for well over a year now, so that it shouldn't be too much of an issue for Buffalo to navigate now. But like I said, St. Louis is alive here, but I'm going to wait and maybe look for something in game. I do like the first period over and full game over the pregame.
Good stuff indeed. And there is a couple props I like too in this game, which I'll get to in a moment. I can't believe I stopped at Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen being injured. Of course, I forgot to mention even the bigger injury, Tage Thompson, of course, for the Buffalo Sabres. He is day-to-day and won't play tonight. And it's especially a big loss now because of how he's heated up for the Sabres here as of late. Up to 11 goals now, and goals in 4 straight games for the Sabres prior to this injury that has happened for him in the last game against Montreal. So tough time for Tage Thompson to get hurt just as he's really starting to get things rolling here for the Buffalo Sabres. Ryan, what about you here? St. Louis, Buffalo.
I'm going to take a small chance on St. Louis here, kind of similar to you. Also, I don't hate their team total over 2.5. Devon Levi has not been great. And, Sabres are just coming off a track meet last game. So they've shown they can be susceptible to high-scoring games, and give up some goals. So I'm going to take a chance on St. Louis. I think they're hungry. I don't trust Buffalo right now, especially that minus 170 is just not worth it. So that's all for me in this game.
No doubt. A couple of props I like. I mean, Peterka for the Sabres, always a threat. No doubt about that. Hey, Benson, can you get me a goal, please? Yeah, Zach Benson. For the Buffalo Sabres. He's been, that's an old sitcom, by the way, if you're wondering what the reference is. But Zach Benson, he's been starting to get it going here for the Buffalo Sabres, no question. And I like his value as well. And then for St. Louis, Dylan Holloway, and I'm going to step up with the captain tonight, Braden Shen. Braden Shen is the one that was very outspoken after the game. He did score, by the way, one of their goals against Boston the other night. Plus 320 for Braden Shen tonight. I'd expect him to really be the catalyst and be the ringleader for bringing the effort the Blues are looking for tonight after that third period debacle that they had the other night against the Boston Bruins. All right, we move along to Montreal and Minnesota down the road from Alex at the XL Energy Center. We've got Minnesota minus 270, home favorites here in this game total, sitting at 6, shaded to the over. Minnesota caught in that spot that we're starting to track with the third game in 4 nights, all with travel, and in particular with multiple time zone travel. They had that spot against Chicago on Sunday, and they end up losing in overtime to the Blackhawks. It was great. Now, they didn't play that bad, Minnesota, but you could tell they were just a little off the mark, not sharp. And sometimes when you're traveling and in the air that much, that can sometimes play a part. And plus, Mrazek was very good in net that night for the Blackhawks, no doubt. But they've been off since that loss against Chicago. So even though it was a 3-game road trip, they've had 3 days off. I don't think it's as horrible a first home game, off a road trip type of spot here for Minnesota. I think it's manageable because of the 3 days off they had. We've talked about this ad nauseum with Montreal. They can't keep the puck out of their own net. Even in the win against Buffalo, 7-5, they did win. It was nice to see them snap the 6-game losing streak, but they still gave up 5 goals, and it still is an issue. And it's regardless of Primo or Montembeault in net. Both of them have been below average, but this is more about the defending in front of either of these two goalies, which just hasn't been good enough for the Montreal Canadiens. The way I see this is you got a Minnesota team that's been very good off a loss. I think you have to go all the way back to the very beginning of the year. The only time they've lost 2 in a row. They've always been able to bounce back and win the next game after a loss since then. I mean, I do think they win this game, but the problem is, minus 270, I'm not interested in. But I think you can go the team total route. And the beauty of it is they don't even have to win the game. Just trust them to score 4 goals. And this Montreal team, 5 allowed to Buffalo, 4 allowed to Toronto, 5 allowed to New Jersey. There was a couple games there, Calgary and Pittsburgh, they only gave up 3. And then before that, 6 Washington scores on them, 8 for Seattle against them. They're having a real tough time right now as far as keeping the puck out. Minnesota off the loss. I think it's not asking too much to get them to 4 goals. So for me in this game, it's Minnesota team total over 3.5, minus 125. Alex, what do you think here? Canadiens, Wild.
Yeah, I'm going to add that along with that first period over. I grabbed 1.5 minus 130 with that, but I think the Wild, if they can come out hot, maybe look at Wild first period puck line as well too, because I think the Wild can come out hot at home. And he says the Habs are giving up goals in bunches, so shouldn't be an issue. So I might add that Wild puck line in the first period along with the first period over and team total over.
Yeah, and I think in the majority of Minnesota's wins, I'm looking, 4 of the last 5 Minnesota. In fact, you go back further, 6 of the last 7 Minnesota wins. Only in 1 of Minnesota's last 7 wins have they not scored 4 goals. So that's very, very important to point out. So when they win 6 of the last 7 wins for the Wild, they've scored at least 4 goals. So I think the team total is the perfect approach here for a favorite of this magnitude. What do you think here, Ryan? Montreal, Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it so much. I was already on that Wild team total over 3.5. Coming off a loss, they're going to be looking for vengeance here. And then Alex mentioned it, but I don't hate that first period Wild puck line. I see it at plus 120. I think that's worth a sprinkle for me as well. Good value. Montreal just hasn't been tight defensively, so I think this is a good spot for the Wild's offense to come alive. And so those are the 2 things that I really like in this game.
And Kaprizov in particular has done a tap dance over Montreal in the past. He's really done damage against the Canadiens head-to-head, which isn't that shocking because if you look at series history, certainly it has been lopsided in favor of Minnesota. They have romped and rolled repeatedly over the Montreal Canadiens over the years, no question about that. And now you get them off a loss too. So definitely as far as props go, I mean, if we talk about Rossi ad nauseum, probably don't even have to mention it anymore to know that we like him. Most games. I think there's a good Kaprizov over 1.5, maybe even over 2.5 point sprinkle type of night, because this could feel like a spot where you could pop off here for 2-3 points at least against this Montreal team that is just giving, goals and assists and points to the opposition right now. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. Montembeault and Gustafsson, by the way, are confirmed in net. There is a key injury, though, for Minnesota, and it does hurt on the blue line a little bit. Jonas Brodin, he is out for them here tonight, and we always talk about him and Spurgeon, kind of those guys that are 2 of their more important defensemen. But the good news is they've got, obviously, a lot of players on that back end playing solid. I mean, even the youngster Declan Chisholm's been okay. Brock Faber's been awesome. Jared Spurgeon is at least back now and has been able to stay healthy. So they've still been able to be okay there on the back end. And Gustafsson's been great. You can make a mistake, and Gustafsson's been able to bail them out. He's had a very good start to the year. For Montreal, I would say if I'm going to look at one prop, it's the old man. It's the guy we've talked about repeatedly, Brendan Gallagher, who's actually been one of their better goal scorers of late. Caulfield, it goes without saying. always a threat, but those would be the two I would look at for Montreal here tonight. All right, the show that Ryan in particular, the part of the show, I should say, that Ryan in particular has been waiting for. The Boston Bruins taking on the Dallas Stars. We've got Dallas minus 180, home favorites in this game. The total sitting at, it looks like 6, shaded to the under. It did open 5.5. It has gone up to 6 here in this game. What do you make of Boston? Is the St. Louis win just is the St. Louis win that that Boston had, is that just was that just them getting hot in the third period, St. Louis falling apart, or was that a sign of Boston maybe can use that to galvanize themselves and turn this shitty start to the season around? I'm not so sure. I'm not convinced that that's just all of a sudden going to rally the troops. I got to see a little bit more because I'll be honest, for 40 minutes, that was a horrific performance by Boston. And then all of a sudden they make it 2-1 and St. Louis kind of panics because they're kind of struggling, and Boston ends up getting the momentum, tie the game. They end up with a 3-2 win in that game against the St. Louis Blues. I still have to see more. There's still a lot of concerns I have with them defensively. Jeremy Swayman has not been able to recapture last year's form, at least so far this season for the Boston Bruins. But the bigger problem is, the blue line's had some issues, hasn't played as well. They've been running around. They've been turning the puck over in their own zone way more often than we're accustomed to from a Boston Bruins team. And now to make matters worse, and Jimmy Murphy has said this on this show, Hampus Lindholm's been by far their best defenseman so far this season. Well, now you've lost him to injury moving forward, and he is out for the Boston Bruins tonight, and it looks like it's going to be an extended period of time that he's out. This isn't a day-to-day thing. This is weeks that Jim Montgomery said he would be out. He's chipped in solid offensive numbers, but he's been very steady. He's been one of the more solid as a rock performers in the defensive zone for Boston so far this year. So it's a big loss for a team that just doesn't have that depth quality on the blue line they had last year and 2 years before that, especially when you factor in that Carlos had some struggles. Lowry hasn't exactly, made that next step. Zadorov's been a mess at times this year. The guy, they got him from Vancouver. They got Jordan Osterley and Parker Wotherspoon here on the third pair. So there's concerns right now with Boston on the back end. Flip it around to Dallas, and this is a team that wasn't happy with the way their game was trending. The 2 losses over in Finland against Florida. Not impressive when they got back against Chicago, even though they won that game. And then they were just clearly the second best team on the ice against Winnipeg. And that's when, everything, shit hit the fan. Everyone wasn't happy. They said, we got to start playing better hockey. And that's when they came out and they absolutely did a number on the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night in that 7-1 beatdown. And I know it's Pittsburgh, right? I know it's a bad defensive team. I get that. But this is a Dallas team where Wyatt Johnston hasn't had a great start, but he finally scores against Pittsburgh. They finally see the light lamp for 7 goals 7 times in that game for a team that had been sputtering a bit offensively this season. That might be something that where now they finally have that big outburst game. 7 goals the other night against Pittsburgh, that maybe now the floodgates start to open a little bit for Dallas, that now they start to play like the offensive team and the 4 lines of depth and coming at you in waves type of group that we thought they were going to be coming into this season. So give me Dallas team total in this game. That's the way I'm going to approach it. I think it could be a deal where finally they saw the goals go in, and now it gets everybody's confidence up. It was a huge night for Sagan and Marchment and that line, and maybe they carry it over into tonight. And you're getting a nice price on it too, with Dallas over 3.5, their team total plus 112 here in this game tonight. So I like that approach. Boston scuffling on the defensive end, like I said, and now without Lindholm, one of their better defensemen as well. That does hurt. So I'm going to go Stars team total in this one. I like the angle too. Struggling offensively, they finally break out for 7 against Pittsburgh, and I think it's confidence that's palpable and can carry over into tonight for them in this one. Now, what do you think here, Alex, with Bruin Stars?
Yeah, I think we could see goals in this one. I'm going to go over trifecta. I'm going to go first period over, full game over with the 6, and I'm giving both teams to score in the first period plus 180. And I also took a little sprinkle on the draw. It's not one of my favorites, but at plus 350, we get a 3-3 or a 4-4 score after 60 minutes. I could definitely see it being a good contested game, and I think this is like I said, a step up for Boston, and this is a good game for Dallas coming off of having that offensive explosion. So the goals continue for them, but I think they may struggle a little bit on the back end as well. So give me the over trifecta and the draw in this one.
Yeah, Matt Robinson with that Brad Marchand slander I see in the chat for. Yeah, I thought I like that. Plus, look, I like Dallas team total over. I'm a little concerned about what Boston's going to do offensively here against Dallas, but I think it could still get there because I like it when a team, look, they know they've kind of underachieved offensively, and like I said, they see the 7 goals go in, and maybe that gets Dallas going, and Boston hopefully can chip in a little bit here as well tonight. In this game. And look, and you're not alone, Alex, because 5.5 is where this total opened at 6 now. This is a pretty big move up quickly from 5.5 to 6 with the total. So, like I said, it's a clear move that people, not just you, other people expect some goals here tonight in this one. By the way, as far as the goaltending, like I said, we're expecting an Ottinger versus Swayman matchup here in this game tonight, and it is confirmed as such. Ryan, your Stars, what do you think here taking on Boston?
Yeah, I really like the Stars here. I think the last game, although it was against not a great Pittsburgh team, it kind of, can give them momentum, give them confidence. As you mentioned, Wyatt Johnson, get him going a little bit. Miro had 2 goals. Hopefully that sparks him a little bit. Hintz and Robertson had no points in that game, which is kind of crazy. I guess it's a good thing for their depth, but for those two, off to slow starts, Robertson had, I think it was foot surgery in the offseason, but I really like that Dallas team total over 3.5. I see that plus 110. They went up to Boston, spanked them 5-2. I'm not sure if it's still this way, but as of a week ago, I think Boston was among the league's most penalized team. They take a lot of penalties, so I look for Dallas to get some opportunities. I think last game they went 2 for 3 or 3 for 5 against Boston, whatever it was. So I look for them to get some power play opportunities. Something I took, I did a little parlay. I think Jason Robertson, going against my gut, with the don't bet on him until they show you. I think he's kind of due. He's a really streaky player. He's got some looks last game, couldn't finish, but I took Dallas money line with Jason Robertson anytime point. I got it at plus 150. That way, if he scores on the power play, gets a secondary assist, whatever, covers. I think if he has a big night and gets on the score sheet a couple times, that should lean to a Dallas win. But really, I like that team total over 3.5. I like that parlay with Robertson point and Stars money line, and then I also got a small plus or even money plus 100 Stars 60-minute line last night. Just a small chance. I think it's looking good that they can carry over that momentum from last game. They're back at home, and Boston hasn't been great defensively, as you mentioned. So, yeah, those are the few things I really like. I also might look at I saw someone did a Sagan and Duchesne point parlay. I really like that. Marchman had 5 points last game. Those 3 together, when they're clicking, have been one of the top lines in the league. And so I'm also going to look at Sagan, Marchman, Duchesne point props as well.
They've been a great line. And by the way, there was a great reaction on social media posted from Matt Duchesne's kids when he scored the other night. That was pretty cool. Just screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, it was just pretty crazy to see. It was cool, actually, to see that. It was pretty awesome stuff. But, yeah, that line was phenomenal against Pittsburgh. The prop I like for Dallas is reunited, and it feels so good. We're reunited finally with Wyatt Johnston. I like that he finally got on the board. It was a late goal, but any goal for him is a step in the right direction with the slow start. Something he can build on. You're now getting at least better prices than you got early in the season with him to score a goal. I see plus 260. It was down closer to plus 200 early in the year. So, like I said, definitely Wyatt Johnston to build off what he did the other night. I'm going back to the well on the Boston side with Morgan Geekie, guy that Alex used as a bargain bin the other night. Playing on the top line with Zacha and Pasternak. And obviously he found the back of the net against St. Louis. So Morgan Geekie stepped up, and great value still with him on that top line for the Boston Bruins right now, once again in this game. Now look, I know it's a long ass travel day for our guy Matt with his Reno Ice Raiders hockey team and that small cramped little rink-a-dink van that they're driving into to their destination to play tomorrow night. But I got to admit, when you're throwing out stuff in the chat, Matt, like Brendan Smith, anytime goal, is he doing some drinking in that van right now? Little drugs, little weed. What's going on right now? Putting that kind of thing in our chat right now at this point in time. Watch him score now after I say that. But nevertheless, pretty funny stuff. Yeah, it never say never for Brendan Smith. Maybe it's his lucky night. We'll see. All right, next up, we've got Nashville and Edmonton. Oilers minus 180, home favorites. 6.5 being the total here in this game. The Oilers, credit to them, bounced back from the loss when McDavid returned, I should say, against Vegas at home. They romped over Vancouver. It was a great spot to back Edmonton. I was on them in that game. I took their team total over 3.5 against the Islanders. They blew a 3-1 lead, but ended up just that overtime. You knew they were going to score. It was just a question of when. They had the puck the whole overtime. I mean, the Islanders they made the Islanders look silly in overtime. They never had the puck, and eventually Leon Draisaitl put it away, and the Oilers got a 4-3 win. So they're off back-to-back wins against the Canucks and the Islanders. But you look at Nashville, disappointing season for them, no doubt about that. But I'm seeing just little signs of life from Nashville. They had the 4-0 shutout against Utah at home on Saturday. I thought against Colorado, who are heating up, getting better, starting to play really good hockey. They won again last night on TNT against LA. And the fact that they're getting healthier, and Nashville took them to overtime. It was a very competitive game. I thought Nashville could have won that game too. It was very even. I like Nashville's game, the last two. They played two of their better games, in my opinion, of the entire season for a team that has obviously underachieved to this point. You factor in that Edmonton now, a couple of wins. They've already beaten Nashville twice this season already. The urgency, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be there as great. They got to play Toronto, a big-time national TV Hockey Night in Canada showdown. You know, they're going to talk about it, especially if Matthews comes back for the Leafs. McDavid and Matthews. We're going to hear that about Saturday night with the Oilers and the Leafs. This is just the perfect spot, perfect situation, and a good enough price, in my opinion, to think the other Predators can step up here and maybe upset the Oilers tonight. And you know they're going to want to. They're 0-2 against Edmonton's third time playing them. They don't want to go 0-3 to this team. Little signs of life in their improvement the last two games. Give me the Nashville Predators here. This is my big dog of the night right here. Plus 150 to get the job done in Edmonton. Let's be honest. Edmonton blew a lead to the Islanders, hung on, and barely won that game. And I think Nashville's coming in here knowing that we're starting to find segments of our game are getting better. Could have beat Colorado, had our best game before that against Utah. And I think in this spot, it's a nice little price to go against Edmonton. So Nashville, plus 150 for me. Probably sprinkle on the Preds team total as well. Alex, what do you think here? Preds, Oilers.
No one hates Trashville more than Leon Draisaitl. So give me anytime goal plus.
Oh yeah, you do have to bet that. Even as someone like me, Alex, on Nashville, you got to have some kind of Draisaitl props in your portfolio tonight.
It's about as close to automatic as you can get with a player prop in this league. Yeah. So that's the only thing I have here. Draisaitl anytime goal, just the one goal plus 130.
Yeah, I think it's a great spot, great situation, good enough price to take a shot here with Nashville in this situation tonight. What do you think here, Ryan? Nashville, Edmonton.
Yeah, I think Nashville's worth a small shot as plus 150 as well. I don't have a great read. I did look at some Leon Draisaitl score. As you mentioned, he does have a history of lighting the lamp against Nashville, so that's always a good look. I don't know. Let's see. First period, I was going back and forth, taking the Oilers puck line first period. Just kind of a gut feeling thing. Them at home, Nashville obviously off to a slow start. But yeah, I don't have a great read on this game. I think Nashville taking a small shot is definitely worth a look. I also might look at the live over in this game, depending on how it starts, or if the first period is 0-0 or 1-0, that second period over, I think, is definitely worth a shot, like we saw with Detroit and Pittsburgh last night. So
Ian, you have access to Bet365. Do you know if this is possible that you could parlay Nashville with Leon Draisaitl? I know most books won't allow you to have a parlay that involves the other side of a team, but I was just wondering if maybe if there's any book that would let.
They would.
Yeah,
I can DraftKings as well, I think.
DraftKings allow that too. Oh, okay. I know there's a couple books that wouldn't allow that, but that's something I would highly recommend.
I'm seeing Nashville money line with Draisaitl anytime is plus 575.
Yeah, that's worth a shot.
There you go. Yeah, Nashville. I'm just seeing what it is at 365. Yeah, you can do that in most spots. But Draisaitl, that's the score. So it's Nashville money line, Draisaitl to score plus 700.
Oh yeah. That's worth. I think I would bet that.
There you go. Great stuff. And that's the beauty. The same game parlay builder at Bet365 is one of the best damn things a human being ever created. As far as I'm concerned, it is great. And lots of opportunity with that for sure. There's no doubt. Plus 700 would be there at 365 for Nashville money line and Leon Draisaitl to score a goal here in this one. As far as props, like obviously, look, Draisaitl, I don't know, something happened. I think a Nashville staff member, someone, I don't know what they did. They pissed in his beer. I don't know what, but they did something to make him mad because for some reason against Nashville, this guy just goes wild and scores in bunches and just dominates them. But there is no doubt that he's been impressive against them. No doubt. For Nashville, we look at Forsberg, O'Reilly. Stamkos has been moved up to that top line. I think it's been a nice little difference. Even though Nyquist has always been so good with those two, I think they just want to throw a different look out there at opposing teams. Meanwhile, it was nice to see Evangelista score the other night. They need more from him. They need more from Tomasino, Parson. These are guys that have really been good offensively at times, and they can't just be all Forsberg and O'Reilly and Nyquist all night. And we know Stamkos and Marchessault have had slow starts, so it's incumbent upon those guys in the bottom of the lineup to be able to make an impact. And they've started slowly to be able to do that here the last couple of games. And by the way, it's Pickard in net for Edmonton. We don't know yet for Nashville, but Saros is currently projected. All right, we have 2 games left. Next up, it's Islanders. And by the way, Nashville first period. I think I'm going to probably do probably 80% full game and 20% first period. I do think I want that first period as part of the, and Perlo mentioned it in the chat. I think the first period they might be able to get a lead early against this Edmonton team. All right, we got 2 games left. Next up, we've got the Chicago Blackhawks and the Seattle Kraken. It is Seattle minus 165 home favorites here in this game. The total sitting at 6 shaded to the under, but 5.5 actually at a couple of books as well going into this game. This is a game where, look, Chicago's not a team to bet. Let's put it this way. Chicago's not an easy team to bet overs with right now. They're not scoring goals. Power play we know has been spotty. And the goaltending, at least for Mrazek in the last game against Minnesota in particular, was very good. There's no question. He's back in net tonight for the Blackhawks. Joey Decord has already been confirmed for Seattle in net. We know he's been solid. But sometimes you have to rely on the series history. And my gosh, series history, it's been pretty crazy that 6 games in a row head-to-head between the Seattle Kraken and the Chicago Blackhawks have gone over the total. 6 in a row. Again, kind of hard to believe a little bit, but 6 straight have gone over. I believe it's 7-2-1 all time since Seattle entered the league as far as overs between these two teams. And I think at 5.5, which I can now get at minus 120 at a couple of books here, as low as minus 120, I've got to jump on the 5.5 here, just based on that series history. And look, Seattle has cranked up their offense here. The last 3 games, the efficiency and the production and scoring goals and finishing their chances is matching the pace that they've been playing with. Of course, they've played that pace all year under Bylsma. More aggressive, defensemen not scared to jump into the rush, pinch when they can to keep plays alive. And now the goals are starting to come in finally. After those back-to-back shutout losses on the road against Boston and Ottawa, scored 3 against Colorado, and then 9 goals in the last 2 games combined against Vegas and Columbus at home. So slowly but surely, Seattle is starting to get it revved up a little bit. I think they win this game. I just don't like the price enough to bet Seattle. But at 5.5, with 6 straight meetings going over the total, count me in on over 5.5 here. Alex, Blackhawks, Kraken.
Yep, on this over by factor, grab this. You can get $1.20 with that over. 5.5. You can get $1.10 or $1.15. If you shop around with that over in the first period. But I also like the Hawks here. I grabbed the Hawks money line, and I know there's a possibility of Arvid Soderblom potentially starting in net. Like I said, him and Mrazek right now they're both almost even. The way that Soderblom has played right now, that hasn't been the issue. Goaltending, it's been like you said, finding consistency with the offense. But I like that they're moving some things around with the lines. Teuvo Teravainen going back up with Kurashev to the top line with Bedard. I think Bedard has a good night tonight. So I like Bedard plus 195 to score a goal. And I would also take a shot with Elephant Hands, Ryan Donato plus 380 to score a goal. It's not my bargain bin play, but that is on my card. Those are two goal props I have for the Hawks tonight. So I think this is a good back and forth battle. I think we see a lot of goals here, but I think the Hawks have enough energy behind them to get a win here. So look something 4-3, 5-3 potentially. So definitely liking the over by factor as well.
There you go. And Alex, especially liking Connor Bedard. He might have a big night. There's no doubt. But as far as my thinking behind the Connor Bedard night, maybe one night early, because the one I've got circled for Connor Bedard to just go off is the next game against the Vancouver Canucks, close to home in Vancouver. He's a Vancouver guy. He's going to want to have a great night there.
I think this little leg of this trip could be a good one for Bedard. So I'm not ruling that out, of course, as well. But I think it could start here. And I think that wouldn't shock me at all if he has a big night tonight and then maybe is a little quiet, after being around the family and everything. He already had a quote saying that he's basically paying the play for this game because he's got so much family coming in. So, so maybe the jitters hit him there instead of beforehand. So we'll see.
No doubt. We'll be ramping it up when we're on the air Saturday. Talking about player props for Connor Bedard, because that's definitely a spot he's a Vancouver guy. Mr. and Mrs. Bedard will be there. They usually go to a lot of them. They'll definitely be there with him being close to home. So that'll be a big night for him, no question. All right, Chicago and the over by Fecta for Alex here. Ryan, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Kraken.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be on that Bedard goal. I don't want to take any sides in this game. I don't trust Seattle minus 165, and I thought about taking a small chance on Chicago, but I think I'm just going to stay off it. Take the Bedard prop. I think Rich H mentioned, Chicago should come out with a good performance. They're going to want to roll into Vancouver with good mojo and get some, confidence going. I think Bedard can be a catalyst for that. And so, yeah, I like that. I like anytime goal. I think it's plus 185, plus 190 range, but that's pretty much it for me.
Let's talk about the hottest goal scorer on the Seattle Kraken right now. And it's actually a prop I like quite a bit. Brandon Tanev, I shit you not. 3 goals in the last 2 games for the Seattle Kraken, even though he plays on the 4th line for this squad. Down the lineup, but making a big impact with Gord and Cartier. And like I said, 3 goals for him. Turbo time, as John Forsland always says when he scores a goal on the Kraken broadcast. It's a great call, actually, by him. But yeah, I mean, he's been good. 3 goals in the last 2 games, plus 550 for him to score a goal tonight. So Brandon Tanev, man, he's just been that bull in a china shop. And he's really been one of the guys that's helped spark this Seattle offense and get them out of the doldrums a little bit. So, yeah, value with someone flying way under the radar right now for Seattle. All right, now final game of this Thursday slate, New York Islanders, Vancouver Canucks. We've got Vancouver minus 190, home favorites. 6 the total here, shaded to the under. But again, just like the Seattle-Chicago, we do have 5.5s appearing at a couple of books with this total. So make sure you shop around. And it's pretty crazy that we've got this game and the Chicago-Seattle game to end this card, and yet we have a 5.5-6 split total. In the Chicago-Seattle game, we have a dominant series history to the over. It's even more dominant, believe it or not, with the Islanders and the Canucks. It's pretty crazy. You wouldn't necessarily think Islanders-Canucks get together, it's high scoring and goals galore, but that's exactly what it's been. And even last year, when the first year for Rick Tocchet as the head coach of this Canucks team, who's tried to preach a better defensive team effort from this group, and yet both meetings last year, Islanders and Canucks also went over the total. 4-3 and 5-2 were the final scores in those games. It's pretty insane. When I look back, I had to be reminded about, as I had totally forgotten, that the Islanders and the Canucks had been such an over-dominant series history until I started handicapping this game last night. And then all of a sudden I look, holy shit, 9-1 to the over, and 8 straight between these two teams have gone over the total. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I like most of all here is over 5.5. And don't look now. The Islanders, the last 4 games, the offense has gone up, started to score more goals, 4 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals in the last 4 games. So they've scored a grand total of 14 goals in their last 4 games. So the Islanders are putting the puck in the net, but their defensive game is starting to slip again. They've given up 3 goals or more in 3 of the last 4 games, and they have multiple injuries on the blue line on defense right now. There's no Adam Pelech. There's no Mike Riley. It looks like Alexander Romanov is out again on the Islanders. They are very short-staffed right now on that blue line for Patrick Waugh, and, it's starting to show here in the last couple games with the goals they're giving up. I mean, they've got Dennis Cholowski and Grant Hutton as your third pair. That's not what you want to see by any stretch of the imagination here for the Islanders. So Pollock, Mayfield, Dobson, Isaiah George they like, but they've already got him up there with Dobson, and he's just barely had a cup of coffee in the NHL in his career. So there's issues on this back end for the Islanders right now. They're chewed up. They're banged up. And I think that makes the over an even better look here in addition to that series history. So over 5.5 minus 116 is the best number and the best price with that. Tempted by the Canucks team total over as well. 3.5 at plus money, but I like the full game over more than anything here. And again, 8 straight, believe it or not, between the Islanders and the Canucks have gone over the total. Alex, what do you think here? Isles Canucks.
Yeah, I like the draw here more than anything else, but I will have some smaller spots on the over by factor. But I think this game could be close enough to where we see this one go past 60 minutes. So I grabbed the draw plus 350. I'm seeing it was actually plus 360 earlier, but 350, 360. That's the prices I'm seeing floating around.
Yeah, I got to be on Bo Horvat back in Vancouver. Clearly there was some issues, hurt feelings, emotions when he went to the Islanders, obviously, and he hasn't had a great season. So 5 goals, but he's going to be amped up to play in Vancouver. I could see it for sure for him, maybe finding the back of the net for Vancouver. I say rock with Pius Suter again. We've talked about him. Maybe this young Swede, too. I mean, who's going to get an opportunity. He's obviously made his NHL debut against Calgary. Jonathan Lekaramaki here for the Canucks. He's on the second line, so Tocchet's given him some runway here with JT Miller and Pius Suter. So keep an eye on that. And the big return, of course. I was silly of me not to mention it, but yes, coming back from his bout with cancer, making his season debut tonight, Dakota Joshua for the Vancouver Canucks. Not a moment too soon with how much of an impact player he turned out to be at times last year for the Vancouver Canucks. Do we dare sprinkle on him? I know it's his first game back. Didn't have training camp. Now just sometimes it takes you time to get your footing. But if you do think Dakota Joshua can hit that scoreboard and score in his season debut, plus 500 is out there for Dakota Joshua.
What's him to get a point?
What's funny? I don't see it on Odd Stamp yet. The point props, only the goal prop, and that's plus 500. So I think it's because he's on the fourth line. A lot of times they won't post point props for the players on the fourth line. So we'll see, but it'll be. I'm sure the Canucks are going to be thrilled to see Dakota Joshua back with them here tonight in the lineup for the first time this season.
Could that be a spot potentially where, let's say, Vancouver's up 3-2, 4-2 with an empty net? Do they put him on the ice to try to get the empty net goal?
I wouldn't put it past them. Doesn't mean they will, but I'd be thinking about doing that as a coach. If I was Rick Tocchet, I'd be thinking about it. Put him out there, try to ice the game, give him a goal on his first night back, after battling cancer like he did. Absolutely. So I think it'd be a great emotional, thing to do.
Plus 500 might be worth a shot. And if you look at that, just off of that alone, I mean, like I said, for a fourth liner, it's not like he's going to get a lot of other time to see scoring chances, but that could be one because of the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was testicular cancer that he had too. So, like I said, that's touch wood, as far as your survival rate when it comes to that specific form of cancer. So great to see him back on the ice. No question here for Vancouver tonight. Ryan, what are you liking here? Islanders, Canucks.
Yeah, I'm big on Vancouver for that reason. I think anytime you have a teammate go through something like that's, traumatic and life-altering, you want to rally around them. And it's definitely going to give that team a big boost, especially being at home. I think they come out hot and, they're going to want to win this one for him. So I like Vancouver 60-minute line. I think it's obviously better value than -190. I'm not laying that, but I think they're gonna come out hot and want to win one for him. It's gonna be probably emotional for him coming back after being diagnosed with cancer. You're not sure if you're gonna play again, when you're gonna play again, whatever. So I think I'm big on Vancouver for that reason. Just rallying around him and having a big night for him.
All right, good stuff there. Vancouver team total, I'm probably going to tack that on to over 3.5. That there is, I think, that emotional bent to this game as well. For and look, let's be honest, there's issues on this defense right now for the Islanders. They're injury riddled. And it's Varlamov tonight, not Sorokin. And it's not like Sorokin's been great, but Sorokin in the Edmonton game in particular was really good. Could have been a lot worse than giving up just 4 goals if not for Sorokin that night. Tonight you're going to get Varlamov in net for the Islanders, and Kevin Lankinen gets the start again for Vancouver. Varlamov, 3.01 goals against, 887 save percentage. I mean, those aren't great numbers by any stretch of the imagination. So, like I said, Canucks team total over. I'll probably tack that onto the card in addition to the full game over in this game. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. Those of you watching on YouTube, and shout out to everyone on the other platforms tuning in as well. And shout out to all our Patreon members. Patreon.com/IceGuys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, all the bonus content, exclusive live betcast later in the season. And of course, the daily betting card posted each and every day. Sides, totals, player props. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Your subscription helps support the show. Just $10 per month. Sign up now. Patreon.com/IceGuys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got everything in stock right now. Hoodies, T-shirts, mugs, caps, you name it, we've got it. Everything available right now. It's at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff. We got great stuff coming up. We've got Bargain Bin Special of the night, Best Bets, coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsman, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great Ice Guys sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check out the site. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Huge slate to choose from. Alex, where are you headed for the bargain bin?
Yeah, we're heading out to Manhattan, looking at that game with San Jose, taking on the New York Rangers, and we all talked about it. Barclay Goodrow. He mentioned in an interview yesterday saying that, he didn't like how things ended with him leaving New York. He says, a lot of friends there, a lot of teammates had great memories, but a little salty about how things went down. So at plus 750, that was the price I got. Like, so you can find it as high as 8-1. Look for Barclay Goodrow to get a goal, his MSG return tonight. That's my bargain bin special.
All right, Barclay Goodrow for the San Jose Sharks against his former team, the New York Rangers. Plus 750 to plus 800 is what we're looking at for that prop as well. Great price for Barclay Goodrow there for a bargain bin special of the night. All right, Ryan, what do you got for your bargain bin special tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go to the Dallas game. I'm going to do a same game parlay. and it's going to be Matt Duchene, Mason Marchment, Tyler Seguin over half a point. I'm seeing it. I got a plus 550 earlier. That's been their best line. Duchene's been their leading scorer. Marchment had 5 points last game. Seguin loves playing against Boston. It's his former team. He always seems to find the net and produce in some way, shape, or form. So those three have been the best line. They're on the power play together. They've been clicking, and usually, when one of them scores, there's a high chance that the other two had some say in that goal. So I'm going with those three as a line, all over half a point, plus 550.
All right, I like it. Good stuff there with the parlay there involving the Dallas Stars for Ryan with his bargain bin special of the night. To hearken one of my favorite Christmas movies growing up, it actually was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger from Jingle All the Way. It's Turbo Time, and it is Turbo Time for me tonight with the bargain bin special of the night. Brandon Tanev, man, 3 goals in the last 2 games, plus 550 for the Seattle Kraken. Sign me up. Turbo, Brandon Tanev, Seattle Kraken, plus 550 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Thursday slate. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Fun fact about that movie, Jingle All the Way, filmed right here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Looking at best bet tonight, we're going to go to Tampa Bay. Looking at Winnipeg and Tampa, first period over. You can get 1.5 around minus 130 to 135. You shop around at 130, still floating around at FanDuel and a couple other shops, DraftKings as well. So we'll go Winnipeg, Tampa, first period over 1.5. That is my best bet for this big Thursday card.
The late, great Phil Hartman was in that Jingle All the Way, too. And
Yeah.
his character was creepy but funny at the same time.
Yeah.
In that movie. That was a great character. Rest in peace. What a great, funny man he was. But there you go. Winnipeg, Tampa Bay, first period over. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Ryan Robinson, great job again. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it in Florida. I'm going to go down to the New Jersey Devils, Florida Panthers. My best bet is Florida Panthers, 60-minute money line, plus 110. I got it earlier. Good teams find a way to bounce back after a loss. Not to mention they're at home and they're playing the same team that just beat them a couple nights ago. So I really like them to bounce back. Bobrovsky's in net. I think this is a really good spot for Florida. So I'm taking Florida Panthers, 60-minute money line as my best bet.
There you go. Florida Panthers for Ryan Robinson in regulation for his best bet for this Thursday card. And my best bet coming, well, we had 2 in a row. We lost last night. We'll see if we can get it back. I'm going right back to the last game we talked about. We got a banged up Islander blue line. We got a Vancouver team that I think can score on that banged up blue line. Varlamov's numbers aren't great by any stretch. But the Islanders have scored 3 goals or more in 4 straight games. And the total's only 5.5. Let's take advantage here. New York and 8 straight meetings between the Islanders and Canucks have gone over the total. Islanders, Canucks over 5.5, minus 116. That is going to be my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Appreciate it very much. Hit the like button on the way out. Great show as always. And of course, a reminder. Oh, almost forgot to mention this. We got to get that daily reminder because it's right around the corner. The Ice Guys Live Betcast next Tuesday, November 19th. It is almost here. It feels like it's been a while since our last bet. That's because it has. We're only going once a month for the first 3 months of the year, but it's worth the wait. Trust me. If you missed the first one in October, join us for this one. It's going to be great. Yeah. It's just sitting back, watching the games, commenting, having some fun, shooting the shit with the viewers and the listeners of the show, live bets, some drinks, like a bar and a pub vibe to it. You're going to enjoy it, guaranteed, if you've never joined us for an Ice Guys Live Betcast. Next Tuesday, November 19th, Florida, Winnipeg, the spotlight game, the Paul Maurice Bowl, if you will. Looking forward to that next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast next Tuesday, and we will send you the link for it before it begins.
And you know what's perfect about that, too? I'm just looking at that card that for the night. There's 2 games starting right at the 7 o'clock hour. Then there's 2 games at the 8 o'clock hour, game at 8:30, game at 9, game at 10. It's just a perfect night. So definitely want to join us for that. Get your booze ready. We already got stuff lined up. So it should be a fun one. Looking forward to that.
No doubt we are. Great stuff, Ryan, again, joining us filling in for Matt. Well done. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Ryan Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys.